Attorney Shane Farnsworth understands the key to success in your case. You are entitled to compensation for your injuries, medical bills, lost wages, and personal loss. Mr. Farnsworth will go to trial if you are not offered the fair settlement that you deserve. The law offices of Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, has established itself as one of the leading personal injury law firms in the South Florida area. They give all their personal injury clients a promise. If they don't recover monetary damages in your case, you will not pay any attorney's fees. Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, offers a free consultation to evaluate your legal case. If they take your case, they only get paid if they win. Whether you've been injured in a motor vehicle crash, slip and fall, workplace accident, or through the negligence of someone else, you need attorney Shane Farnsworth fighting on your side. Call now for a free consultation. That's 561-272-8337. You are listening to the Ask the Expert Show with host Steve-O. We will be right back with more experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Join us every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Now, get ready for more Ask the Experts.
You know you're getting old when you've been doing this for about 10 years and the guest tells you you're coming on the air. That's pretty bad. Hey, we're right back here with Ask the Experts. Don't forget, 7:40 a.m. now on Thursdays from 3 to 4, and our long-running Ask the Experts here on 1470 from 5 to 6 every Thursday. And this is such an easy show to do. We have personal injury attorney Shane Farnsworth with us. His office is in Delray. But the reason I love today's show, we're going to talk about, this is hurricane season, and I cannot wait to talk about this subject. You're going to learn a lot today. Let me say hello to Shane Farnsworth.
Hi, Steve. How are you today?
I love doing the show with you. I love doing the show with you. Have you been to any baseball games lately out of town?
No, not out of town. I went to Pittsburgh at the end of May, beginning of June.
Once a year you do this?
I have a group of friends. We get together once a year and do that. Yeah, I go to a different ballpark. So this year was Pittsburgh.
Okay, so now do you know where you're going next year yet?
I don't. I have some ideas. I'm generally the one who plans it.
How do you decide which one you're going to go to?
Well, I generally come up with 2 or 3 that I'm most interested in, and then I'll float the idea and see what comes back, and then we'll choose one.
Well, I'm a Texas Ranger fan. Now, if you live in Dallas, there's a lot of Texas Ranger fans. They get a lot of great crowds, but not here in Florida. They look at me funny.
Yeah, not here in Florida, and they're getting a new stadium, so we're going to wait till the new stadium is built before we do the Texas Ranger trip.
Well, first of all, before we get on today's subject, because it's hurricane season, and sometimes you just don't get what you want out of the insurance company, and we're going to teach you some new things today. But for the new listeners, tell everybody about your practice.
Yeah, we're located in downtown Delray Beach, Southeast 4th Avenue. We're across from the new IPIC Theater, if you know where that is. We're just off Atlantic Avenue. Been there for about 20 years. We practice in the area of personal injury and insurance disputes. So we do car accidents, slip and falls, bicycle accidents, motorcycle accidents. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. It's hurricane season, and you never know when one of these storms is going to creep up. So I wanted to go over this topic before we start getting those warnings.
Have to be a hurricane.
Now,
there's a lot of things that can go wrong with the house.
Exactly. Primarily hurricane claims are what we get, but if you have your hot water heater bursts and your insurance company is not treating you right, they're not paying the full value of your claim. Any sort of damage, someone backs into your fence or someone, causes damage to your house, we handle those as well.
I'm going to tell you why you want to do this with an attorney. Now, there are public adjusters out there, but when you have an attorney who's negotiating for you and calling the insurance companies, somehow, tell me if I'm wrong, they get off their behinds faster.
It does generally have that effect. We have the ability to file suit and litigate the claim if they're not going to treat you properly, where For example, a public adjuster who's not an attorney can't do that. And a lot of times what I find is that public adjusters, they'll come in and tell you, well, it's a better deal because we're not charging as much as an attorney would charge. But what happens is oftentimes they're not able to get the job done, and they'll associate an attorney, and you end up paying the public adjuster a portion of your claim, and you also end up paying the attorney as well.
But you charge different, though.
Yeah, well, in that instance, though, if they're charging a percentage of the fee, you could end up paying the public adjuster a percentage of what's collected, and the law firm that has to finish the claim for them when they're unable to do it. But one good thing about insurance claims with your own insurance company is a lot of times in first-party claims, we may be able to recover attorney's fees for you from the insurance company, and even in instances where that's not the case, we generally take these cases on a contingency fee basis, so we don't collect any money unless we recover money for you in that instance, so you're not coming out of pocket to be represented here.
Now, I want to just get back to personal injury. So you do auto accidents,
Yes.
which also includes trucks, motorcycles, boating accidents,
Yes,
dog
essentially,
bites.
any sort of instance where you're injured by the negligence of somebody else. We do slip and falls. But yeah, as far as vehicles, if there's a vehicle that injures you while you're either in a vehicle or you're a pedestrian or a bicyclist, we handle all those types of claims.
Okay, so now let's get back to, from what I understand, I don't know if it's the attorney, but if you've settled the claim, sometimes I understand you can come back in. Is that true?
That would depend. Most of the time, if once you resolve the claim and you sign a release, at that point you're done. So that's why it's sort of important to speak to an attorney, because a lot of times when you have an insurance claim, whether it's homeowners or any other sort of claim, they'll come to you with an offer. Generally, that first offer isn't going to be the maximum value they're willing to pay on that. Now, if you accept that offer and you sign off on a release, they give you a check, you haven't done proper inspections, and you go in to start repairing your house, and you see that there's damage that wasn't seen and you didn't catch, you're probably not going to be able to go back, and if it's related to the same instance that caused the damage, you're not going to be able to go back and get a supplement for that.
And don't the insurance companies try to get off with the least amount possible?
Yeah, we talk about this, but
Like
I think
matching up tile, like the tile you have might not even exist anymore.
right, as a general concept, and I think we probably mentioned this just about each time we do the show, insurance companies make money by collecting premiums, not by paying claims. So, a lot of times what they're trying to do is pay the least amount possible to fix whether, be damage to your house or your car, or if you're injured, they're trying to settle it as cheaply as possible. So that's why it's important to be represented by somebody who's experienced and knows the true value of your claim.
What does the homeowner's insurance cover?
Your general homeowner's policy, it will cover the structure of your house. It usually covers outside structures, like if you have a shed, a fence, things like that. It covers your personal property and loss of use. So if, for example, like we were talking about earlier, your water heater bursts and you can't stay in your house because of a flood and they have to come in and remediate, it will cover you staying at a hotel or someplace else while that's going on.
Okay. So it seems like, God, we get so much rain here. I bet you see a lot of flooding.
You do get flood claims, and one thing that's important to understand, if you were listening, you didn't hear me say that floods are covered by your general homeowner's policy, and the reason is it's not. Floods, when it comes from groundwater into your house, that's generally only covered by flood insurance.
So it's additional.
That's an additional coverage. It's the flood insurance program is administered by the federal government, and it's a separate policy that you would buy. They do surveys and they make decisions as to what parts of counties or towns are in a flood zone. And if you have a mortgage, you might be familiar with that, because if you live in a flood zone and you have a mortgage, they'll require you to carry the flood insurance. If you don't live in a flood zone, you're not required to have it, but is generally fairly inexpensive, and it's worth having the coverage. For example, you're starting to see the hurricanes. They're getting bigger, and they're becoming much bigger rain events. If you remember the hurricane that happened in Houston, and all the flooding that occurred,
yeah.
because the storm essentially, it was a huge storm that stalled out, stayed over land for a long time, and caused that flooding. Well, you may have saved some money if your house wasn't in a flood zone by not buying flood insurance, but guess what? If that situation happens here and your house gets flooded, you don't have it, you're not covered.
Wow. Is there separate hurricane insurance for damage?
There's separate coverage for, they call it hurricane windstorm, for wind damage that's caused.
But it's in addition to.
Yes, it's not part of your regular policy. So, for example, wind-driven rain, you would have to have a windstorm policy for that. So, if you have a hurricane or a significant wind event, obviously, you may have rain that's blown in under your rafters that causes damage or things along those lines. That's a windstorm policy. Now,
Do you suggest that people get that type of insurance?
Well,
I mean, we're in hurricane area.
Yeah, I mean, in Florida, we're obviously very susceptible to hurricanes, and if you don't have the cover, I mean, if you have a mortgage, a lot of times, especially if you live east of 95 here in Florida, they require you to have windstorm coverage.
Really?
Yeah. So
Because you're closer to the water.
Correct. Yeah. But if you don't have it and you have damage from a hurricane, once again,
You're out of luck.
You're not covered. So unless you're wealthy and you're going to self-insure, you should probably have windstorm insurance.
What are some of the steps that people can take before the hurricane? Because we're starting to get right into August is like August, September. So what are like some of the steps that people should take?
Well, the number one thing is be prepared well before the storm is on the way. So one thing I suggest to people, this is relatively easy. If you have usually our cell phones, you can take video with your cell phones, take pictures with your cell phones. I suggest that you go around your house, both the interior and exterior, and you shoot video of all your possessions and the condition of your property and the outside as well. Go up on the roof if it's safe for you to do that, and take video. So you can show what the condition of your property is. You want to get
So you have time to do it.
Right now you do, but if the storm's on in the way,
Right.
You're going to be busy probably putting up shutters, going to Publix to pick up your hurricane groceries and things like that. So that's why I'm saying now is an excellent time to do it. I would start, with the whole room, go around, sort of a panoramic view of it, and then, specific items, zoom in on those and have a good video record. If you have certain pieces of furniture or collectibles that, you need to document, take specific pictures of those. At this point, you should also be getting together your insurance policy, taking a look at it to see what coverage you have, talking to your insurance agent to see, make sure you have sufficient coverage and that you understand what it is you are covered for.
You see these coverages.
Yeah.
And what's the biggest mistake people make?
Well, one of the things is you want to make sure that your house is insured that for a high enough value. Keep in mind, it costs more now to build, so you want to make sure that you have a proper value on that. Now, one thing you'll see in your policy if you look at it, and you'll have to realize is for a regular claim. For example, your refrigerator leaks and you have wood flooring in your kitchen and it warps it, and you got to change that out. That's covered by your regular deductible. So a lot of times, your regular deductible will be $500, $1,000. Hurricane damage is a little bit different. Usually, your hurricane deductible is based on a percentage of the total insured value of your house. It usually falls between 2 to 5%. And your hurricane deductible is in force anytime that there's a hurricane watch or warning in the state of Florida up through the lifting of that watch, up 72 hours after the lifting of that watch, or anytime there's hurricane activity in the state of Florida.
Somebody would have to be, I'm not going to say names, but how could you not be covered properly down here? I mean, we're not like in Kansas. Like in Oklahoma, I would definitely have some kind of tornado insurance, because it only takes one.
Correct. It's, we've talked about this before in the shows where we discussed car insurance.
Right.
It's really a matter of understanding what the coverages are you're buying, what it is they cover, and making sure that's sufficient for what it is you have. Because if you're underinsured or not properly insured, and something happens, you're either not going to get the money back that you need to replace the stuff that's ruined, not enough to replace it, or
Right.
none at all. So it's important. That's why I'm saying at this point, get your stuff together and review it before a storm comes. You can't insure your property for damages done after the storm. You got to do it
Makes
before.
sense.
Another thing that you can do is get together your important papers like the insurance policies, the pictures, the videos. If you have access to the cloud, you may want to store that information in the cloud, essentially off-site. That way, if something happens and you have an awful storm that ruins your house and you can't find the paperwork, or the video and the pictures get ruined, the hard copies of it, you'll have copies to show, after the fact.
What about, there's a lot of people that rent down here, a lot. Now, I know the homeowner has to have the insurance, but renters aren't insured for the content. And I think I told you I lived over in Highland Beach, and boy, the water was coming. I mean, everything I had could have been ruined. Is that covered under the homeowner's insurance, or should people get renter's insurance too?
Well, if you're a renter, your stuff probably isn't covered by the homeowner's insurance.
Okay.
You're going to have to buy renter's insurance, and you have to talk to the agent to see what's covered under that. And it covers a situation where a hurricane comes.
Okay, because my stuff would have been ruined, some like really expensive pieces, if I hadn't been there. We're going to go to break. Now, this is very important. Write this number down. I'm telling you, if we have damage here, have a hurricane here, and you're going to go, what was that attorney's name? Write it down. It's Attorney Shane Farnsworth. Give everybody your phone number.
Yes, the phone number is 561-272-8337. You can also visit our website at farnsworthlaw.net.
We're going to go to break. When we come back, we got more hurricane talk.
As an experienced personal injury attorney, Shane Farnsworth understands the key to success in your case. You are entitled to compensation for your injuries, medical bills, lost wages, and personal loss. Mr. Farnsworth will go to trial if you are not offered the fair settlement that you deserve. The law offices of Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, has established itself as one of the leading personal injury law firms in the South Florida area. They give all their personal injury clients a promise. If they don't recover monetary damages in your case, you will not pay any attorney's fees. Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, offers a free consultation to evaluate your legal case. If they take your case, they only get paid if they win. Whether you've been injured in a motor vehicle crash, slip and fall, workplace accident, or through the negligence of someone else, you need attorney Shane Farnsworth fighting on your side. Call now for a free consultation. That's 561-272-8337.
We are back. Well, you know what? We're talking, this is hurricane season, and we have our monthly show, Attorney Shane Farnsworth. By the way, just because his office is in Delray, again, it doesn't matter. You can be in Dade, you can be in Broward, you can be in Stewart or Jupiter. He handles all that area. He actually handles all of Florida, but even though his office is in Delray, we're talking about damage to the house. And, the thing is that these insurance companies are going to want to pay the least amount possible. You can actually come in, and I'm telling you, I love that the fact that you're an attorney. Nothing against public adjusters, but really their final step is to come to someone like yourself. You would be starting with an attorney.
Correct. Yeah. A lot of times, like I said, if a public adjuster is not able to get your case resolved for fair value, they're not a licensed attorney. They can't practice law.
Exactly.
So,
and most public adjusters aren't licensed attorneys.
Correct. Yeah. So when that happens, they have to then refer you to a law firm, and like I said, you end up paying most of the time not only the public adjuster, but you'll have to pay the attorney as well if they recover for you. So you're paying for an extra service that you didn't need. Now, if they're able to resolve your claim, it may be less expensive than hiring an attorney, but
Right.
if they have to go hire an attorney, which happens quite often, you're going to end up paying more in the long run.
And it's really important because you know the value of things. In other words, just because you own the home, I have seen homeowners that accepted, they weren't happy, but they accepted the amount the insurance was going to come when they could have hired someone like yourself and possibly gotten a lot more.
Yeah, the insurance companies have, certain tactics they use to try to, not pay the
Get
value
you to
of your
settle
claim.
early.
Sometimes what they'll do is they'll take a hard line stance and say that, this isn't covered by your policy. And if you didn't do your homework ahead of time to know that it is, it may not be. But the other thing they can do is they can say, well, we think this was pre-existing. This was there before the storm. This roof damage already was there.
That's why the pictures
We're
are
not paying
important.
it. Yeah. And another thing about the pictures, I didn't mention last time, if we do have a storm, you want your pictures, you want before pictures, but you're also going to need after pictures. So once the storm is over and it's safe, you need to go out and evaluate the damage, and you need to take videos and pictures of the damage caused by the storm. Now, if you've properly documented it, you should be able to show what was there before, what was after, and that's going to help you improving your claim. Another thing is, just like with the auto insurance policy we talked about, you have a duty of cooperation. That's a general duty in any insurance policy. So you have to notify your insurance company of the claim. Another thing is you have a duty to mitigate damages. So if you have a gaping hole in your roof after the hurricane, you can't just leave it open and say, well, I'm waiting for the insurance company to get here. You have to take proactive measures to try to limit the damage. So you need to get a tarp or somebody up there. You could hire somebody, and the insurance company will probably compensate you for. You may have to fight them later on down the line, but you need to protect the property from further damage, or else you may give the insurance company an excuse to say, well, we'll pay part of the claim, but the rest of it's your fault because you didn't take appropriate action.
We talk about in the show whether it's an automobile accident or it's damage to your home. A lot of people, to save money, try to handle it themselves. And we've talked about this before. I'm telling you, most of the time when you try to handle it yourself, you're going to leave money on the table.
Yeah, like I said earlier, in this instance, it doesn't make a lot of sense for you to do it anyhow because, as soon as you get the idea that you're not being treated fairly, if you hire an attorney, in some cases in first-party claims, if you prevail, they have to pay your attorney's fees, and that's a possibility.
Exactly.
Another thing is, in other instances, we generally take these cases, if that's not the case, on a contingency fee. So you're not going to pay any fees up front. In addition, we pay any costs that are needed to facilitate the case being moved along. And unless we recover for you, it doesn't cost you anything. If we recover for you, we get a percentage of the money we recover plus our costs back. But yeah, if you represent yourself, you're probably going to get shortchanged. And, the insurance companies, the adjuster isn't really there, no matter how friendly and nice they may appear to be. And I'm not saying that in their personal lives they aren't, but they're really there to represent the insurance company's interests and not yours. So you need somebody on the other side to represent your interests and make sure you're properly protected and don't fall into the pitfalls that can happen if you try to represent yourself.
And it's not just hurricanes. What other areas, when it comes to claims that people make, it's not just hurricanes?
It's anytime you're dealing with insurance. You have to, like I said, keep in mind, insurance companies make money by collecting premiums, not by paying claims. So whether it's your auto insurance, your homeowner's insurance, even we don't generally get involved in health insurance, but if you go to your doctor, sometimes your insurance doesn't pay the bill, and so they're always looking for ways to not pay the claim or to not pay the full value of the claim because that helps their bottom line and that makes their investors happy. So
And nothing against people today, but I got to tell you, just use some common sense. You are talking to an insurance company versus Shane, an attorney. Who do you think's going to get you more money? Seriously, because I'm going to tell you something. They will, and I know this for a fact, take advantage of you. They will.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's not, in terms of the contingency fee contract, we use that in our personal injury matters too. So whether it's a car accident or slip and fall, a hurricane claim, a general homeowner's claim, we use a contingency fee contract. So you're not coming out of pocket up front, and you're getting the experience and expertise of being represented by somebody that works in this field, and that helps to level the playing field for you.
Should people, after a bad storm, hire someone to, because I don't think they charge anything, to come out and at least check your roof?
You can, but you need to be careful of a few things. One, after a hurricane, it's not uncommon that you have people sort of flooding to that area.
Right, exactly.
Whether it be public adjusters, roofers,
right.
People that have tree services. People show up, and a lot of times they may or may not be reputable companies. So you need to make sure, number one, if you're going to have workers come to your house, are they licensed and insured? Is it?
So is that what they should ask for people?
Amongst other things, I mean, whenever there's a hurricane,
the tree people come out.
I mean, it's essentially for a short time after the hurricane, depending on how bad the storm is sort of the Wild West. I mean, I can remember I was in Miami during Andrew, and I remember driving through people's yards because there were trees in the road, and you would go through their yard. I remember there being no stoplights, and for the first couple of days, the police weren't out, and you were essentially, who was the bravest at the intersection. So,
right.
That's sort of how things are at that point. So you want to make sure that the people you're dealing with are reputable.
So I want you to write Shane's number down, because, we're really I know hurricane season started last month, but we're really going to be getting into it. I want you to write Shane's number down. Give everybody your phone number and website address.
Yeah, the phone number is 561-272-8337. And once again, the website is farnsworthlaw.net.
And remember, if you're in an auto accident, slip and fall, you also want to contact Attorney Shane Farnsworth. Thank you so much. You're going to be back again with us next month, and your website has all of your shows on it.
Yep.
So we love having you on. This was a great topic this time of the year. We're going to be back again next week on 740 from 3 to 4 and on 1470 from 5 to 6. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Ask the Expert Show, featuring interviews with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Call our office at 888-574-6999 to become one of our experts on the show. And tune in again next week for more Ask the Experts with Steve-O.